Hi everybody, we are coming to the end of the semester and that time when you need to be thinking about and working on your final projects. And I wanted to wrap up the lectures with some information on system documentation. When you do irrigation system design, of course, the goal is going to be to convey your design to the recipient. And that recipient can be any number of folks. It's just dependent on who has asked for the work. However, no matter who the recipient is, you're going to need to be sure that your documentation is very clear and it's very understandable, and that you consider the needs of the client or the recipient of your plans. So you'll have your basic plan, which will include the head layout, pipe sizes, and so forth, as well as a legend. But you may also need to include additional support material, and that's going to, again, depend on the client. For homeowners, for example, you might want to use information that's somewhat less technical. They may not be interested in all of the details about the particular pipe material you're using, for example, and they may be more interested in conceptual support material like irrigation schedules and information about their soils that's relevant to irrigation and so on. Now, if your recipient is an installer, they're not going to need to have super precise information, although they will need enough information to determine the products that are being specified and where they should be installed. Now, for bidding purposes, where you're trying to get a job, you really cannot be too detailed, both for yourself and for the potential client, because that's going to help you to bid appropriately, and it's going to help them understand what your plans may entail. Now, any system documentation should, of course, include the plan, which I mentioned, but it may also include additional specifications of products. It may include a watering schedule if needs be, and it may also include detail or product cut sheets, which I'll show you some examples of. But before I get to that, I wanted to show you what the final plan could look like. And let me just increase the size a bit here, scoot over. So this is a final plan that's actually in your textbook, and this is the landscape or base area that we've been working with right along and referring to throughout the course. And what you'll see here is a final plan, a final irrigation design that includes the location of different sprinkler heads, as you can see here. It also includes the laterals, you see connecting the heads. It also includes valves, which you see here. The main line, which is indicated by this dashed line here, and the location of the irrigation controller, the location of the meter, and so on. Now it also includes, I'll bring this back over now, an irrigation legend. In this case it's fairly general, but at a minimum it includes what the symbols mean. So for example, this M in a box, what does that mean? That's the water meter, and that's a very typical designation for a water meter. Here is the backflow preventer. These symbols indicate different sprinklers that have been chosen. Theoretical. These are not actual sprinklers, the Acme SP. But the point is that they've got symbols for different sprinklers, they've got a valve symbol, and so on. And for you, with your final project and the plans that you turn in, that's going to be important as well. So that's one example of a legend. Now here's another one, and I'll blow this up again. This I think I got online. It might have been through one of the major irrigation manufacturer websites, but you'll see here that a lot of the symbols are similar. So this is similar, a pipe sleeve that might go under a sidewalk or a driveway, lateral line, pipe hops, that's pretty similar. In this case, this R in a box indicates a rain sensor. This symbol is similar, that's for a valve. And then they've got different symbols in this case for more sprinklers than were specified in the previous plan. But you get the picture. There are a lot of different ways that you can designate components of your irrigation plan. I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so that would be certainly something you need to be aware of with your final projects. Now another thing, and I'm not asking you to do this for your final projects, but you may in the future be asked to include product cut sheets or detail sheets, they're sometimes called, and this is one example from your textbook where you can see a rotor sprinkler and how it's meant to be positioned in the soil. So that's what this detail sheet is really indicating, is how you as a designer intend this thing to be installed. And it includes information about the pipe beneath the sprinkler, what kind of joint it is, and things like that. Here's another one. This is a spray head in this case, but it also includes some detail about how that head is connected to the lateral. So a bit more information than was included in the previous slide. And then here what you see is detail about the valve placement in this plan. And you see the valve box placed flush with the surface of the soil. You can see the valve, which is indicated right here, and where the main line is coming in, where the lateral line is leaving, where the wires are connected, and even some detail here below about gravel being installed at the bottom of that valve box and the direction of flow. Now, before you get too concerned about having to create all those sorts of detailed spec sheets, I do want to just show you on the, this happens to be Rainbird, but it could be any manufacturer website. But here you can find a lot of these spec sheets or product detail sheets on their websites. I'm just, it didn't take me more than about 2 seconds to find these things online. And here you could go to the spec sheets that they have available online, and you can just print those out and use them with your plans. So for example, I'm just clicking on this JPEG file, but here it includes their particular sprinklers and the connection to the laterals. And those are things that you can use directly in your materials. So those are some sprinklers, but of course they also have detail sheets for controllers. Here's a commonly used controller and some information about that controller. So the point being that this is not something you have to create from as a great artist or anything like that. These things are readily available to you. Here is a spec sheet of a controller that you might use as part of your documentation as well. So kind of to wrap up, here is a final plan that includes the location of the sprinklers. They're very tiny, but it also includes pipe sizes. They're indicated adjacent to each of the laterals and the valves and so on. And of course, here is that plan with the associated legend. And again, that's going to be very, very important with your final projects so that I know exactly what all of your symbols mean. So that's the information I wanted to go over on system documentation, and I will look forward to receiving your final projects.